back to my channel. This is Canadian Retro. I've got the part 2 of my Super Famicom pickups here. This one here is all about, games that were released in North America, but probably like a little bit later, depending on some of them. Some of them were released in North America, and they just are maybe a little more expensive here than what I paid for them to import them. So that's really the reason for this particular video. So I'm gonna get started on that right now. This one here, I guess, didn't really come out to an epic deal because it's not really that expensive of a title here, but I couldn't pass it up. I mean, it was only a few dollars, and that is Final Fight 2. And obviously this is like a, beat 'em up kind of game, one-on-one, sort of like Street Fighter style. This one here, I think when I try to test it out, works great, and I'm not saying anything about that part of it. It's just the fighting in it was really difficult for me anyways. I'm not really a huge fighter guy to begin with, but I thought I would check this one out and see if that would change my interest. I got into a couple battles, really got it handed to me kind of idea with this one. So if you want to check this one out, you definitely should. Like, obviously I have some gameplay footage running right here for you, but definitely the route to go sometimes if you're trying to save a little bit of cash here. So that's why I picked out that title. The next one here was released on the PlayStation Anthology, I think it was. It might have been PlayStation Collection on PlayStation 1, but that's Final Fantasy V. And I really just wanted to get this one because I was sort of looking at the Final Fantasy V on the PS1, and I know some people had a little bit of complaints about not the frame rate of it, the loading times, things like that really slowed down the pace of the game, whereas in the cartridge you're not going to get those kind of things. Also, this one does not have additional content that the PlayStation 1 version has, so it's just nice to see what the original was all about, kind of thing. And this one here, otherwise, like at the time, was not released in North America. I think this might have, and I can't totally say this for certain, but this might have come out sort of like at the end of Super Nintendo sort of lifespan in North America. Maybe that's one of the reasons why it didn't come out. I don't think that the Final Fantasy series was dead here or something. I think it really sparked a lot of interest, especially beginning on the NES. That was sort of the first one that I ever saw like that, and I was absolutely enthralled by that game. But missing out on the Super Nintendo because I was a Sega Genesis person, I never got a chance to play some of the Final Fantasy games, and definitely you wouldn't have gotten a chance to play this one back in the day because it was not released here in North America. So really cool find, I think, right there, and something I'm thoroughly going to enjoy. And obviously this one has a language patch, so that's going to work out really nicely. I won't even notice the difference. I think it's all basically in English, the language patch for that one. And then also, to follow that one up, I picked up Final Fantasy VI, which this one here is actually, I believe it's Final Fantasy III on the Super Nintendo. So really cool right there. I remember my buddy had that game on his Super Nintendo. I can't remember if he actually owned it or if he had just rented it or something like that, but I remember going over to his house one day and he was playing the Final Fantasy, one of these Final Fantasy games. I'm fairly certain it was 3 on it, and I was just absolutely blown away by it. I really wanted to play it, obviously, because it's an RPG. I didn't really have the time, just sort of visiting his place, to really get into it, but I was able to sit back and watch him play it for a bit, and I was just blown away by it. Even my Sega Genesis didn't really have something like that for me on there that just sort of really captured my attention. Like I said, I really was interested in the NES, the NES Final Fantasy game. That's really where I started, so I was kind of really enthralled by what I saw there. I'd like the other one though. This one has a pretty in-depth job system, but this one is also on one of the PlayStation ones. I can't remember off the top of my head. I think it's either Collection or Anthology. I'm not sure, but I'm sure you guys know which one it is. I can probably put something up to show that about this one, but still cool nonetheless, and just really beautiful graphics. Obviously something I wanted for my collection. I'm always on the lookout for I'm looking out for the Final Fantasy games that are on the Super Nintendo that were released here in North America, but until that time comes, this will hold me over with a language patch, so pretty happy with that one. Next thing is sort of the same idea, and this one keeps going up in price as far as the North American version goes. This one I got on the cheap, that's why I picked this one up. Squaresoft title, and that is Secret of Mana. So again, this is a title that keeps going up and up and up kind of thing, and I know some people love it or hate it kind of thing. We were talking about this a little bit yesterday in the Google Hangouts that I was in. But this one here is something I always wanted to check out, and again, I wasn't willing to pay like the $60+ that I kind of see it going for on eBay. Hopefully I'll be able to find, this one on the cheap, but I highly doubt it. So right now, like the language patch for this one, and the cool thing is you can make your own language patches really with certain programs. So I was able to do that for this one. Just took Secret of Mana and applied it basically to this on the Retron 5. Now obviously that doesn't change the cartridge, it just changes when you put this into your machine that it will register it as that. So that's pretty cool right there. I'm looking forward to that one. And this one here wasn't released in North America, but it's part of the series, although I have read somewhere if you call this Secret of Mana 2, you'll be in trouble or something like that. I'm going to call it that anyway, so give me trouble if you don't agree. But this is Secret of Mana 2, which just has really cool graphics as well. Similar kind of gameplay, mixes up the mechanic I think a little bit. Really cool though, lots of fun. I was checking this one out a little bit ahead of time, but again, I was playing it in Japanese at the time, so I didn't really get that far into it. I'm really waiting to play it on the Retron 5 and get myself a language patch going on with this one as well. But again, something that was not released here, so this is really the only way to experience it that I know of, other than going complete and total emulation route. So something I'm willing to check out. Make sure you check out the gameplay and go check out some reviews on this one, because it's definitely worth your time and effort, I think, to scope this one out. And again, this one was super cheap as well. Sometimes people are asking a little bit of a higher price on this one. On eBay, I managed to find it like at auction kind of thing, so I was able to not really have to go for the buy it now kind of choices. The next one here sort of keeps getting me closer and closer to my Kirby-esque goals, and this is Kirby Super Deluxe, but in North America it's Kirby Superstar Ultra, Kirby Superstar. And with this one here, really fun, and I have a language patch this and check it out. It totally works perfectly and really cool. I really like some of the artwork on these Japanese ones. Really neat. Just sort of a little bit different, I think, from North American ones kind of idea, and that's what I kind of appreciate about it. Again, totally playable in English, and I really enjoy the Kirby games kind of thing, like the side-scrolling, aspect to it, the adventure and all that kind of thing. And this one delivers sort of like a series of short little games, but as far as like the Kirby sort of main game, I think that's really enjoyable and something I'm going to be looking forward to completing, and definitely not like one of the longer things, so something I'll probably have a lot of time for, which is really nice to be able to just sit down and sort of complete that in a little session or something like that. So that's pretty cool right there. And obviously, like I've just been mentioning though, price wise, this was a few dollars. North American version, a lot more than that. So that's really why I was going forward with that one. And then the last one here, same thing. I saw this listed in a group the other day. Somebody wanted like $120 for this game. Not here, or not when you import it from Japan. And obviously some people would not be able to play this if they don't have the Retron 5, but because I do, it really saves my life here. And that's Ogre Battle, the March of the Black Queen. And I saw this one, $120 on it. As far as the North American version goes. As far as the Japanese version, it was a few dollars. So really a viable option if you have the equipment to kind of do this and you have the wherewithal a little bit. And it doesn't really require a whole lot because there are translations of this, and like I said, because there is an English version of this, it's really easy to make your own translation if you want. There's a program that just kind of converts it right over for you and lets you play this in English. So that's something I was really looking forward to. Again, this is like a turn-based kind of tactical sort of idea, which I'm really into. I really enjoyed them. I haven't played a whole lot of them necessarily, but the ones I have, I've really enjoyed. So this is one that I really wanted to check out, and looking forward to playing in English, that's for sure. And like I said though, again, it was just a price kind of thing. It's really hard to find these games now at a reasonable deal, but if you're able to have the means and whatnot, you're able to translate those ones. So that's everything I have for you this time around. I have, I think, 8 more titles to show you in part 3. That particular section of it, or whatever you like to call it, will be games that weren't released in North America that are still, generally speaking, playable, albeit even if you don't have language patches, some of them are playable, and then some, again, with the language patch kind of idea, but ones that definitely were not released here in North America. So looking forward to sharing that one. That will be the final part of this 3-part series. So thanks again for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do feel free to thumbs up this video, comment down below, and I'll see you all later.